going to be learning about different parts of the brain and what they do. First, we're going to participate in a challenge. I was amazed first hour how some of my students did this challenge. The idea of this challenge is we are going to see how long you can go without blinking. And I'd like to point out too, this is not part of the script. They misspelled the word to in my materials. They used the wrong to. They said T-O-O. They should have said T-O. I was aghast when I saw first hour. So the idea of the challenge is to see how long that you can go without blinking. You may want to choose a spot in the wall that you're going to stare at, or you can simply stop your eyes from moving and try to keep them open. So some people find a spot in the wall they're just going to try to stare at, but the idea here is this is a challenge to see how long you can go without blinking. Does that make sense? Once you blink, you need to raise your hand. So I know that you have finished the challenge, and once everyone has their hand raised, we'll stop. Sit quietly so you don't distract the other students because they're trying really hard, focusing on trying to not blink. I could not believe how long people went first hour without blinking. I'll do it with you. So I'm going to count down from 5, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You need to stare. Try not to blink. Once you blink, you do what? Raise your hand. Ready? All right. Lauren, you hung on the longest. How did you do it?
Well, I kind of like focused on one spot, but then I focused on another spot, and it just kept moving there. I was there.
I thought it was like hereditary because your 2 siblings last hour were like straight like focused forever. He was like stone faced. All right, so why do we blink even when we are trying not to? Why do you blink all the time and you don't think, oh, blink eyes? Yes.
Why does your heart beat when you don't think about him? Why do you breathe when you're not thinking about him?
Yes, that's exactly it. So why do we breathe without having to think about it? How do we know if the water in the tub is too hot or too cold? How do we know we are being called for dinner? Turn and talk in your groups about why you think our body does certain things without even thinking about it.
We need to do it, and our brain says if it's a need for us, then I don't let them think about doing it.
Okay, so our brain has certain things that it just does by itself. What is that part of our bodies called that makes us do things without thinking about it?
Instinctive thing?
It's instinctive, yep. Does anyone know the actual terminology? Yeah. Not exactly. It's a certain system of your body. Nervous system. Yep, it's a nervous system. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the brain today. Here's a lovely diagram for you to look at. So our brain is the CEO or boss of our nervous system and all the systems in our body. So on this sheet in front of you in your journals, I'd like you to, there's no wrong or right here, just list 5 things that our brains do. Any 5 things. So like for example, our brains tell us to blink. What are 5 things? Just jot down any 5 things. What else does your brain do?
It happens all the time.
Summer.
Like, you know, like things like walking.
Walking.
Like growing.
Growing. Good. Tyler, can you give me one?
Oh, heels cuts.
Heels cuts. Good.
What's that?
Yeah.
Heels your cuts.
Tells you when you're hungry. Good. Ryan? Indicates pain. Indicates pain. Process information. Brandon?
Send signals to the rest of our body.
Good.
Tells us when things are hot and cold.
Yeah.
Like you're read things to you.
Reading.
Oh man, it makes you say it makes it so you can like tell what a sound is.
Oh, so you can hear sounds and like understand them. Memory, dreaming, all of things. Good. So there's hundreds and hundreds of things that you could write down. Remember things, breathe, blink, hear, solve math problems, etc. Okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through the different parts of the brain, and I'm going to explain to you what each part does. And then as we're doing this, you're going to write down on your list what part of the brain you think would be responsible for the activity you put. So for example, if you wrote run, as we're talking, think about, okay, do I think that's controlled by the cerebellum, the brainstem, the pituitary gland, or the cerebrum? Okay? And this spinal cord is just on here just so you can kind of see where that's located. Alright, so the cerebrum is right up here. Okay, this is located at the front of the brain. This is the thinking part of your brain. Okay, it's the thinking part of your brain. It helps control voluntary muscles. What does voluntary mean? It's voluntary, it means you have to actually, or volunteer, you have to actually like want to do this. So this is like if my brother's bugging me and I want to hit him, my arm doesn't just automatically hit him, although sometimes it may feel like that. Like you have to tell, like your brain tells your hand, I want you to move now. Okay, so this is for voluntary muscles. It helps you move when you want them to move. This also contains your memory. And this is what helps you to focus. So let's say that you're working really hard in class, like you're probably working your cerebrum pretty hard. It allows you to reason, as in, wow, if I want to go to the basketball game, I better finish my homework first. Okay? So it allows you to reason. Or I'm not going to get to eat dinner until late tonight, so I better have a bigger snack. Like reasoning, like thinking about things. Okay? So that's the cerebrum. The cerebellum is located at the back of your brain, like back here, and it has to work very hard to coordinate. It controls. Sorry, I skipped ahead. Balance and coordination. Okay, so if you would have a brain injury back here, what kind of problems do you think you'd have? Yeah, like walking, things with balance and coordination. All right, everyone, try to pat your head and rub your stomach at the same time. Catch your head. I can't do it with dry erase marker.
This is easy.
The other way is harder.
Catch your head, rub your stomach.
Rub your head and back your stomach is harder.
It is?
No.
No, it's not, Jordan.
It's harder.
Go like this.
Easier
Move
for
your
you.
I'm
fingers
doing
two
it.
different ways. Like do this one this way.
I
Oh,
can't do
yeah, that's
this.
so hard.
Okay, so what is controlling that? That's your cerebellum working very hard to coordinate your hands so that you're able to do two different movements at once. Okay? Alright. Let's pause in the different activities then. Okay, so all those different coordination movement activities are cerebellum. Next, brainstem. The brainstem is connected to the what? Spinal cord. So if you would have a brainstem injury, what would you likely be? Paralyzed. Okay? Jordan, we're moving on to the brainstem connected to the spinal cord. So we just said that will have to do with, so this is responsible for basic vital functions. Basic vital functions. All right, so give me some examples of things that you wrote down that you think the brainstem would be responsible for.
Like running?
Basic vital things, like things your body does without you even having to tell it to.
Heartbeat.
Heartbeat,
Breathing.
okay? Breathing.
Actually, I disagree. Your body, you can like force yourself not to breathe. Like that's how.
It's on my list, breathing air.
Brandon is gonna
You
argue.
can stop yourself from breathing, but you don't have to, like, when you're doing something,
You
you
don't
don't
want
have to tell yourself constantly, breathe, breathe, breathe. But you're right, it's a little different than like your heart pumping.
Yeah.
Because obviously we can't say heart, do this, you know, but we can do things to increase our heart rate. So, yeah,
Digesting food.
digesting food, circulating blood, okay? Those are all the things that the brainstem does. Involuntary muscles are the muscles that do things without the person having to even think about it. So the brainstem tells your heart to pump faster when you're exercising, tells your stomach to digest your meals no matter what you ate, okay? Then we talk about the pituitary gland. This is right behind your nose, and this is responsible for producing and releasing, anyone know?
Hormones.
Hormones. Okay, so this is what tells your body to do what? Grow. Grow. Okay? So today is my 6-year-old's birthday. He is growing. He doesn't like go to bed at night and say, okay, legs, let's grow, right? His body is naturally using its pituitary gland, releasing hormones that allow him to grow. Okay? So, what I'd like you to do now is, in your groups working together, take a few minutes, look at those 5 things you wrote down, and using what we just talked about. By the way, spinal cord is not one of them. There's really 4 things. Spinal cord is just kind of extra to show you where it connects. Those 4 things, try to identify from your list what part of the brain is responsible for those 4 things. Okay? Alright, give me one. One thing you wrote down, what part of the brain do you think?
I said the cerebellum because that's balance coordination.
Okay.
But I also said the cerebrum because that has voluntary muscles.
It could be some of these activities have more than one part of the brain working. Somebody first hour asked me what part is responsible for dreaming. When I Googled it, it said that it's really not a one. It takes your whole brain to dream. So, Eamon?
For brain freeze, I said brain freeze. I said the spinal cord and brain stems, because since the spinal cord looks like it's sort of connected to the throat, so I'm assuming like somehow when I eat ice cream it like hits my spinal cord and like sends a message to the brain cell saying, hey, brain stem, I'm starting to feel cold here, it's a brain freeze, and I'm like, oh, brain freeze.
So maybe that's a topic for further investigation. Elena, can you give me one?
So cold.
Good. And someone first hour mentioned too that there's also that when you sleep, your brain has a chance to organize information that you got during the day, which is why often people suggest you have a test that you like look over your notes the last thing before you go to sleep, because your brain will continue to think and organize those facts before you sleep.
Then again, you're also more like anxious for it.
Or you might be more anxious depending on personality. Okay, let's do one more. Brianna, want to do one?
I said our 5 senses and did that for brainstem.
Good, so it's kind of a, you don't have to tell your nose to smell or tell your ears to hear. Right? Okay, so your body is a very complicated highway system of tiny nerves. By the way, your body is a highway system. Think back to Friday, what kind of figured out language is that?
Similar. No, it's
I was
Metaphor. Your body is a highway system of tiny nerves that connect all parts of your body to your brain so that messages can get back and forth. Obviously, your brain is very important. What are some things that you can do to keep your brain strong and healthy? Let's share these out. What are things you can do to keep your brain strong and healthy? Jimmy?
Sleep.
Sleep. Like we said, sleep gives your brain a chance, gives your brain a chance to rest, organize information.
Not unless you're using.
Okay, Jordan?
Wouldn't that be a simile because it's brain and highway aren't really the same thing?
Right, but metaphors and similes are comparisons of two unalike things. But a metaphor is a direct comparison. You say something else is something else. If you said your brain is like a
I
highway,
thought that's what you said.
Yeah, that's what you
Brain's
said.
like
I decided to like it is.
your brain is a highway.
Oh,
That's a
You
metaphor.
said like.
I thought you said like,
So-
never mind.
So you trying to figure that out in your brain and processing it is actually good for your brain because your brain likes to be challenged. So Ian, you said going to school is good for your brain. It is. What else is good?
Is listening to music in your sleep good?
Yeah, well, I don't know what in your
I've always
listening to
Hey,
music.
I was algebra so.
Every night.
Listening to music in general is good for your brain. What are other things that are good for your brain?
Maybe
Sleeping.
Solving math
Eating.
problems.
Eating healthy food actually is good for your brain. Like, if you can eat like carrots and different vegetables, yeah,
Solving math.
Fat. Fat is good for your brain.
is it?
Yeah, it is.
It's not on my list, but I'm sure.
It is.
What else? What else is good for your brain?
Drinking water.
Exercise.
Exercise is good for your brain.
Water.
Wearing a
Hat.
helmet when you're doing activities where you could hit your head. There's been a lot of controversy in the news about concussions and what sport? Football. Because there's been so much that's been shown that football can do long-term damage because of the number of. They're not saying are all the different challenging activities that are good for your brain, like doing art or having complex conversations or doing things like puzzles or crossword puzzles.
Video game.
Even video games pretty good for your
Oh,
brain.
yeah.
Yep.
Like
All right. So we're wrapping up now. This is what you need to know. In your performance task tomorrow, you will be learning about what the brain does. The information we talked about today should help prepare you for the research and writing you will be doing. Any questions?